Dear esteemed panelists and participants, warm welcome to the seventh episode of the SKILLS Bridge Masterclass Series. Today's masterclass is special. All panelists are from the global south countries. It is remarkable, as usually knowledge transfer takes place from global north to global south countries. However, increasingly global south countries like to learn more from the similar countries to address shared challenges. So it is an excellent example of South-South cooperation. You will also be glad to know that more than 2,100 participants from 126 countries have registered for this event. It is unprecedented. A big thank you to all of you for joining today's event. I am Ashwani Agrawal, Work Group Leader for Skills and Lifelong Learning Policy, Systems and Digitalization at the ILO headquarters in Geneva. And it is my pleasure to moderate today's masterclass. We know that sector skills bodies can play a significant role in bridging gap between the skills demand and supply as they bring together the representatives of the world of work and world of education together. However, what we are noticing, despite its lot of enthusiasm in setting up sector skills councils in various countries, uh, many of the countries are finding it quite challenging in establishing and sustaining sector skills councils. So this episode aims to discuss these challenges and explore the success factors for an effective sector skills body. Specifically, this masterclass will deep dive into transitioning of sector skills councils in India from purely government funded organizations to ones generating revenue and providing value added services which are noteworthy. To ensure a smooth event, I would like to mention a few points. Please note that the session is being recorded and the recording will be available on the website of the event. During the event, using question and answer button Q&A button at the bottom of your screen, you may submit your question anytime. Please also remember to mention the name of the panelist to whom the question is addressed. As common for the webinar formats, participants' mics and videos have been disabled. You may kindly use chat function to share any examples or of innovative or good practices or any reports that you like to share with other participants. After the event, we will circulate all presentations and resource materials to you. I once again extend a very warm welcome to all of you. So let us start. The highlight of today's event is the keynote address on transforming skills and lifelong learning in India by Shri Atul Kumar Tiwari, Secretary of the Ministry of Skills Development and Entrepreneurship in India. Under his visionary leadership, India is undergoing a monumental transformation and expansion of its skills and lifelong learning ecosystem. This innovation is spearheaded by an industry-led approach that fully leverages technology and establishes connection with global labor markets. It is an exciting time for India as these advancements are unfolding and setting a new benchmark for educational and professional development under his guidance. It is our honor to have him here. The floor is yours, Mr. Tiwari.
Thank you, Mr. Ashwani, Dr. Ashwani Agarwal ji, and the fellow panelists. Uh, yeah, good afternoon from India and good morning there to you, Mr. Agarwal. Uh, the education and skill ecosystem of a society and country is shaped by prevailing socioeconomic conditions. And there have been a large transitions in such systems from the ancient Gurukul traditions in India to education at a mass scale pioneered by Europe during the Industrial Revolution period. Today, as the Indian economy is marching towards the $5 trillion powered by digital technologies, the world is again under the throes of complete transformation of education and skill ecosystem. This is characterized by a movement towards personalized and experiential learning, distributed classrooms, online anytime learning platforms, and increasing significance of life skills. We are witnessing these horizontal skills of adaptation, application of knowledge, and resilience is increasing in significance as compared to traditional economic models. The emerging trends are in fact quite stark. Technology product and service companies of all hues and size are contributing majorly towards incremental growth of the global economy. By virtue of that, the premium on skills and entrepreneurial acumen is higher today than any time in the last 500 years. India's demographics imply that we have the maximum potential gain emanating out of this transformation. We are currently adding nearly 500,000 people in the workforce every year, and if we can channelize our youth to gainful livelihoods through corresponding education and skills, we can reap economic returns and emerge as the skill capital and entrepreneur capital of the world. Policymakers in India are also in the midst of reshaping their human capital strategies to align and benefit from the changes unleashed by Industrial Revolution 4.0. Now I will explain what is that we have been doing. First is integration of skilling with education. We are committed to take the task of integration of general academic education and vocational education as envisaged in the National Education Policy 2020 to the next level. As we look around the world, most advanced skill ecosystems have evolved human capital development strategies instead of education or vocation policies in time with national economic strategies. Even before the IR 4.0 has taken fully roots, that artificial silos of degrees, work experience, and specializations are done away with, and skill sets to undertake a particular assignments are more important. This is sought to be achieved by effecting integration of application-based system of policy, implementation, and outcome levels. The delivery network of skills already includes centers in schools and colleges. The delivery network in the form of Skill India centers are being ramped up for assigning leading education or skilling institutions as a mechanism for financial assistance for creation of PPP-based in-class centers for sunrise sectors. To enable large-scale adoption of work apprenticeship-based programs at the higher education institutions, we have undertaken the required groundwork to create an enabling framework and handholding of first-ever institutions to roll out such programs. This framework has the potential to raise work and apprenticeship-based programs as a new normal in higher education and will have a direct impact on workforce employability and productivity. Second, we are moving towards industry and candidate-centric skilling through choice-based skilling avenues and demand-based financing. It is expected that providing the choice of training centers and courses to candidates would drive qualitative improvements in the skill ecosystem and make it more dynamic and sensitive to the needs of both industries and candidates. The skilling would also be made more aligned to the local economic context and sector-specific design to require flexibility in regulations and frameworks. Third, we want to bring India's ambition and to international mobility and emerge as the skill capital of the world to fruition. We are moving towards a model of skilling in internationally benchmarked certifications and curriculums including language training and culture immersion through 30 Skill India's international centers across the country. As regards aspirational skill infrastructure, we find that it is one of the key priority of the government. It realizes that one of the reasons for relative unattractiveness of a skilling pathway has been the inadequate infrastructure of skilling. To address this, there are plans underway to upgrade the industrial training institutes infrastructures, which remain the bedrock of skilling even today. We envisage to not only upgrade existing infrastructure of state-managed ITIs, but also establish new high and aspirational skilling institutions which can act as anchors for the network of skilling institutions in nearby areas.
There are questions on chat.
We also need to reimagine industry connected skilling, and it dependent on the strength, this quality and relevance of a skilling program in any setting is dependent on the strength and depth of industry connect of such programs. The industry connect mechanism for the skill development in India is led by sector skill councils to connect with employers and workers, either individually or through their representative organizations like industry and membership bodies. I'm very happy to note that there is going to be a separate session on how we reimagine the sector skill councils. As we move, as we drive to develop a sensitive and dynamic skill ecosystem in India, which can enable our human capital dimension of the goal of a developed nation by 2047, we are again placing the strength and depth of our industry connect in focus. We are redoubling our efforts to develop even better models of industry stake in the skilling effort through SSCs and otherwise to build a dynamic and sensitive skill ecosystem. We perhaps need a new and expansive role of SSCs which can meet national priorities and are very close to industry level developments. Another very significant transformation has been on the digital public infrastructure. India has been at the forefront of using open digital infrastructure for non-linear growth of access and quality of social services, powered by penetration of mobiles and high-speed internet. To bring this to skilling, we have launched the digital public infrastructure of skilling in the form of Skill India Digital Hub in September last year. This platform is driving convergence of skilling across ministries and states and has opened avenues of seamless linkages with the world of work, credit, and lifelong learning. Finally, on the demand side, we must realize that the educational skill strategies are immensely dependent on the larger economic context. The trends of formalization of the economy, urbanization, access to credit, cultural aspects like risk-taking behavior, and labor laws are, among others, have a great bearing on how the education skill ecosystem evolves. Education and skill must become integral to the way we structure our economic strategies, our manufacturing incentives, external trade, and foreign relations. We therefore need institutionalized and dynamic research into all these evolving trends so that policymakers are abreast with the moving parts and can make the real changes. As India continues its path to becoming a developed nation, we need such dynamic and visionary policies will become instrumental in ensuring the country has a robust mechanism to create a more effective and inclusive education and skill ecosystem. By embracing these innovations, India will pave the way for a future-ready education system that equips students with the skills and knowledge needed to thrive in a rapidly evolving world. And I'm sure that what we are trying to do now in India will be a beacon of hope for bringing powerful strategic reforms and technological integration, thereby helping define how we look at the future of learning. Thank you, Ashwini ji. This is where I would like to end.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tiwari, for the excellent keynote address indicating India's skill system is moving towards personalized and experiential learning, distributed classrooms, online anytime learning platforms, and increasing significance of core or life skills. You also mentioned several key initiatives, I will not repeat those, that have the potential to position India as a global leader, as you said, a beacon of hope for others in skills and lifelong learning. I'm sure this is already in the progress. It has already great progress has been made, but as we know, every country has to continue make the progress. Now, in this regard, Mr. Tiwari, it reminds me of a key reform India has taken 10 years ago. uh, India established a dedicated Ministry of Skills Development and Entrepreneurship. And this is a key issue in many countries that how which ministry should be responsible for functions on skills development. So how has it impacted the governance of skills development in India, considering the previously divided responsibility among various ministries? Over to you. We cannot hear you, Mr. Tiwari.
Thank you, Mr.
Yeah.
Agarwal, for a nice, very pertinent question. Uh, Earlier, there was a fragmented approach to skill development, where the responsibilities were spread among various industries. And with the establishment of the a dedicated Ministry for Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, it has started a coordinated and focused efforts to enhance the skill ecosystem of the nation. And we have brought out comprehensive policies, schemes to address the diverse skilling needs of our various sectors and demographics. And these are also allowed to bring together stakeholders from government, industry, academia, and civil society. We have developed numerous skill development institutions like ITIs and NASA Skill Training Institutes, Skill India International Centers, Skill Development Institutes of Bhubaneswar, training centers, and so many other places where our skilling ecosystem has grown. The most importantly, I would say that the ministry has introduced standards and guidelines for skill development, ensuring that training programs meet industry standards and equip trainees with employability skills. And as I was telling you, the Skill India Digital Hub has made skilling far more accessible, flexible, scalable, particularly in remote and unserved areas. We have also engaged in international collaborations with countries like Japan, Germany, Australia, UAE, Israel to help leverage best practices, expertise, and resources in skill development. So I would say that having a dedicated uh, ministry with its own clear-cut agenda and roadmap will certainly augur well for the skilling ecosystem in a particular country.
Thank you very much. You, in your speech, you also mentioned a new model of demand-based financing for skilling. Could you kindly provide further insights into it?
Yes, this is a new model of demand-based financing for skilling, uh, which is a quite innovative approach for us, uh, so that we are able to move with the evolving demands of the job market. And it also allows the active participation of industry stakeholders. One aspect of this model is the concept of skill vouchers, which entails providing firms with vouchers for undertaking upskilling or reskilling of their workforce, as well as to the individuals, so that they are able to uh, get their some skill in the areas which they would like, and the vouchers are redeemed once the certification is done. And it will also allows, we would say that on a wider context, that if the skilling incentives are also integrated with the corporate social responsibility and labor cess, then we can also leverage that mechanism also for having resources for the skill development. And it is also we have proposed that there should be introduction of skill components in whatever production-linked incentives and foreign investments are being given, so that the skilling is embedded in the economic growth objectives as well. And that, I would say, would be uh, based on the broader economic policies and investment. At the same time, it will also reinforce the link between the skill development and economic productivity.
Thank you very much. I think you made a very interesting, good point, particularly as we are looking for reskilling and upskilling, that introduction of the skills voucher, as well as I think very innovative kind of thing, how the skill system can tap into the CSR, corporate social responsibility funds, which corporates in India are mandated to allocate funds to that one. I think that has a significant potential for increasing investment in the skill ecosystem. I think that needs to be watched more carefully. And IULA has certain experiences with working with many countries, and we would like to be associated with you also as the progress goes on, how it can be, what our experiences are there, and what experiences we like can bring from other countries also. My third question, and last question for today is to you, is that this is for the global South country. This is very typical, and that's what South-South cooperation has become a very important way. That uh, most of these countries have a large informal economy, whether it's in Africa, South Asia, and India also has, I think, more than 90% of the workforce has a informal employment. So how does the Indian skilling landscape address the needs of informal economy?
Uh, uh, as you know, we, like other countries of South, we also have a large informal sector. And typically in this sector, the skilling opportunities are also have to be localized and accessible. And this, our primary strategies has been how do we decentralize skill development efforts in the sense of having the standards and regulations set and being implemented at the grassroots level through various channels, including community-based organizations, self-help groups, and local training providers. We have developed specialized training modules and vocational courses, particularly designed to enhance the employability and productivity of the workers in the informal sector. We also have the recognition of prior learning program, where we take it out on the unorganized sector. For example, the street food vendors were being skilled, upskilled, and made to eligible for e-cart license, for example. Then we also have focus on practical skills that are relevant to informal economies, such as construction, retail, and small scale manufacturing. And recently we did a skill-based entrepreneurship program for the street vendors who have been given the Swanidhi loans by the government. And we found the results very, very encouraging. Idea is that we should try to, through the skill as well as entrepreneurship method, we enable them to secure better livelihoods and improve their socioeconomic status. You would have heard of the PM Vishwakarma scheme, which has come recently, where the 18 traditional trades have been identified, and there we are giving them skilling as well as toolkits, as well as the daily allowances, and linking them with the credit at a very concessional rate. We also have the mobile vans in remote areas of Nagaland and other areas where the team goes in the buses and skills people and enables them to use. We have a very good scheme called Nal Jal Mitra, where the rural water supply schemes are to be O&M. We have skilled them in a multi-skilled format, so that they know electrician work, they know plumbing work, they know mason work, and how they can maintain and operate the rural water supply schemes with our Water Resources Ministry. We've also done something for the PM Janman, which is the very vulnerable, very remote areas, the tribal populations, giving them skilling and entrepreneurship for their livelihood promotion. We also have Jan Shikshan Sansthan, which is right there in the neighborhood by the very great community connect, where 85 to 90% are women and other are neoliterates, etc. So that also we are providing. So in a way, I would say that we need to, along with these kind of targeted interventions would mean we enable them somehow to skilling, how to make use of better tools, how do we link them with the market, and how do we secure for them the access to finance and capacity build. So we have a very laid down program for this, and we have done millions of such trainings for the informal sector.
Thank you once again, Mr. Tiwari. I think these are the three issues which you have further reflected. Uh, each one is a very clear issue and challenge in most of the global south countries, and you have provided excellent examples how India is tackling those issues. My request would to the ministry and your leadership would be if you can ask your officials to prepare a short note or something on these issues, the three issues, and if that can be prepared ready for external circulations, that would be highly appreciated by the various countries across the world. I will request that to consider that one. And with this one, I'd like to say thank you once again for being with us and reflecting on the excellent initiatives taken by the government of India. And thank you very much for being with us now.
Thank
And
you, Ram.
now, before I go to our next presenter, I like to just many more participants have joined since the morning, and we can see very active discussion and sharing of knowledge and experiences going on the webinar chat. Please continue that one, because it's not a one-way communication. You are all experts in your field. Please share whatever experiences, both positive and something which has not worked in your countries, in the webinar chat with each other. Share web links, documents, so that everyone benefits. Regarding the questions, please do not put the questions there, because we will not be able to go through the chat immediately with all the questions. For the questions, please use Q&A tab only. If you are asking a question from us, any of the panelists, please write your question in the Q&A tab. Do not write on the chat. Chat please use only for information sharing and greetings, which is also very important. Thank you very much. Now our next presenter is Mr. Vedmani Tiwari, CEO of the National Skills Development Corporation, for making a presentation on sector skills councils in India. He is an accomplished leader with over 30 years of experience in the government and the private sector. As the CEO of NSDC, he champions technology-driven skills development and collaborates with stakeholders to scale up skilling initiatives across India. His passion for empowering youth through education and training makes him an inspiring figure in the field. So now I invite Mr. Tiwari to take the floor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ashwini, and good afternoon from here. Before I start with my presentation, I would like to thank ILO, World Bank, UNESCO, and on top of that, Ministry of Skill Development, who have blessed this interaction. We are very happy that more than 1,000 people have already joined. So, please put up my presentation. So, in this presentation, I am going to cover how skill development councils have evolved in India. You see in this presentation that before 2008, India had Ministry of Labour and Employment running industrial TVET programs, and 17 other ministries were running sector specific TVET programs. 2009, the government of India set up NSDC, which in turn set up 36 sector skill councils, and these sector skill councils in turn built the structure and standard templates for skill ecosystem in India. 2015, as we were just listening to Secretary Government of India, Ministry of Skill Development was formed to lead a national effort, which was transferred in form of a large publicly funded skilling program, which was called Prime Minister's Skill Development Program, which set up more than 15,000 training institutions across the country, and 14 million citizens were skilled in that under that program. This entire program was run through a digital platform called Skill India platform. In 2021, post-COVID, India came up with a National Education Policy 2020 with a focus on lifelong learning. So narrative clearly shifted from a hard separation between vocational education and general education. So National Education Policy is driving the convergence of education, skill and world of work. Under this, the translation is happening through a national credit framework, and Skill India digital platform, Skill India Digital Hub, which Secretary just described, is the convergence platform for this. How did the need arose for Sector Skill Council? Was coming more from a post 2009. It was felt that we need to understand the industry's skill gap better, and there is a need for consistency in standards of training. There was also a need felt that many organizations were running training programs which were overlapping and was not having very impact, and the reach was limited. So it was thought that a public-private partnership kind of effort is required, which can leverage industrial expertise, help in additional resource mobilization, enhance scale and improve efficiency. And accordingly, it was felt that we need sector specific bodies and also a coordinating body in form of National Skill Development Corporation. That is how the need was translated. 36 sector skill councils are operational in India today. I have tried to do some logical clustering of these sector skill councils for better understanding. So these are clustered around healthcare, agriculture and allied businesses, transportation and logistics, tourism, travel and hospitality, financial services and financial technology, infrastructure and construction technology, everything that connects with digital, renewable energy and green technology, media, entertainment and creative services, manufacturing and engineering technology, and personal and social care services. Each of these clusters respond to a very different set of skilling needs. These sector skill councils have created impact on the ground in form of 2,500 plus qualifications. There are about 80% industry representation on these sector skill councils, and they have done a very good job of aggregation of jobs. In financial year 22-23 alone, 3.6 million jobs were aggregated by sector skill council. The sector skill councils have facilitated more than 1.5 million apprentices in the last 5 years itself. So apprenticeship is also being led by them, and have trained more than 12 million people over last 8 years. The India has adopted a very unique structure. If you see on the left hand side, we have Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, which is the fulcrum of the skilling ecosystem. Under Ministry of Skill Development, there is a regulatory body called National Council for Vocational Education and Training, and coordinating body National Skill Development Corporation. The sector skill councils respond to both. For their awarding body functions, they respond to National Council for Vocational Education and Training, and for their coordinating functions, they respond to NSDC. If you see on the middle side, there is a governing council of sector skill council, and it's a fairly representative governing council, where industry representatives, government bodies, industry associations, academia, NSDC and training providers, they all come together, and there is one general council which debates for each sector. On right hand side, you will find a typical management team of a sector skill council. So every sector skill council in India has a permanent team. The management is guided by a board, from a board of directors. CEO heads the sector skill council. Then it has a structure where there are standards head, there are head for engagement with the governments, and there is a head for industry engagement, and the affiliation and accreditation of training system. So from training provider to government to industry, everybody participate in this. How do we monitor the performance of sector skill councils? It is done through NSDC. NSDC is responsible for approval of the chairman and selection of CEOs, and any fundraising efforts beyond $30,000 or investment of funds require prior approval of NSDC. How NSDC supports sector skill councils? It supports in form of a new sector skill council providing incubation support and seed funding to the tune of $600,000. It also does the allocation of publicly funded training programs. It helps sector skill councils, Academia Connect, and utilization of Skill India digital platform. Now I come to, as Mr. Ashwani was talking about, the sector skill councils have become financially viable in India. I treat this subject important from that perspective, that whenever there is a revenue stream, that means the organization is creating value for this. So, if you see from this slide, the revenue stream for sector skill councils are in terms of membership fee coming from industry and associations. So, industry contributes, affiliation fee from training centers, trainers and assessors, that means that the training ecosystem contributes. Monetization of course content, so they build a course which gets monetized, and subscription based models to access digital infrastructure. They also provide advisory services to industries and consultancy services to foreign companies who want to set up operations in India. They monetize collaboration with international education institutions, and they help set up vocational TVET system. So, you see that there is a spectrum of revenue streams. Initially, the sector skill councils were dependent upon public funding in form of, if you see on the left hand side, which was largely in the nature of grant in aid from NSDC, then government funded assessments and training center accreditations, and a small fee was coming from a membership from the industry. If you see on the right hand side, now the sources of financing have increased from this initial source of funding to new sources like assessment from non-government funding, advisory services to industry, collaboration with international education institutions, industry and international collaboration, revenue sharing with NSDC and CSR projects, and they run India and world skill programs and course content monetization. That means that sector skill councils have matured, that they are contributing value to every segment of skill ecosystem. This screen that you see, if you see 2000 left hand side of the this cash waterfall, 2019-20 up to 77% of the revenue was coming from government sources. Over last 4-5 years, it has come down to 63%. And Media and Entertainment Sector Skill Council CEO, my colleague Mr. Mohit is here, and Electronic Sector Skill Councils have demonstrated that they have successfully migrated to other sources of income. This is about where the sector skill councils stand today. What is the way forward for sector skill councils? As Secretary Skill Development just now told, that we have set up the convergence of skilling and education. So, now sector skill councils are working with schools and higher education systems as they are guiding the early transition from school to work. So, school vertical works with schools so that they can do a career guidance for students, so that they can do an early transition to workplaces. They also work with higher education institutions, because all over the world now we realize that the higher education needs a industry connect, and National Credit Framework of India allows up to 50% of the credits can come from industry connect. So, sector skill councils have started working with higher education institutions, and the TVET institutions that you see in between, these are centers of excellence which provide a very sector specific niche training. So, these are the 3 areas where they have started working. Industry engagement is another area. So, it is not only about the students who are in school, but those who are in the workforce also need skilling. So, sector skill councils are working with industry for workplace skilling. They are also providing skill impact services in form of sector specific research studies, advisory services to industry, industry led skill programs, and incubation support to micro and nano entrepreneurs, and they have also come up with skill impact bond. They are also working with international collaboration with support with NSDC. So, sector skill councils are now working with international institutions so that they can take this, they can be relevant from international mobility for students from India. This could look like an intimidating agenda, but this is all facilitated because, as you all know, that India has done a good job as far as digital public infrastructure is concerned, and I would like to take a few minutes here. The entire operation of skilling, all 36 sector skill councils, Ministry of Skill Development, National Council for Vocational Education Training and NSDC, we all collaborate on a digital platform which is called Skill India Digital Hub. This platform allows discovery and recommendation for courses which are relevant for citizens. So, citizens can come and discover the courses relevant for them which are curated by sector skill councils, both online, offline and blended mode. There is a digital job exchange. Before I talked about that sector skill councils do aggregation of jobs. So, digital job exchange is also provided here. So, all sector skill councils aggregate jobs there. So, this becomes a demand led skilling. Digitally verifiable credentials is another service that the platform provides, which helps sector skill councils to provide accredited candidates for industry. It also helps convergence, as I told you, that all 36 sector skill councils, all central government ministries, all state governments, they can collaborate and bring their schemes which giving one view to the citizen. The platform also supports entrepreneurship. There is a skill marketplace where people can come and the skill providers can provide skilling that they feel relevant. Skill seekers can come and discover services that they are looking for. Digital skill card is another service that is provided by Skill India Digital Hub, which provides a card to every skill seeker, which can have the entire history of skilling and learning, which is very helpful from lifelong learning perspective. Counseling and mentorship is another aspect where sector skill councils use Skill India Digital Hub, which through which they bring industry experts who can do counseling and mentoring of the candidates. The lifelong learning, we all know that this is a hot topic today in education skill world. So, Skill India Digital Hub allows an opportunity to provide courses for which are relevant for everyone, and as sector skill said that we are focusing on anytime learning. So, digital skilling is another area. So, my time is just up. So, I have covered this, and this is how sector skill councils operate in India. And I would like to thank all my sector skill council CEOs who have worked very hard to bring sector skill councils to the place where we are today. Thank you so much, Mr. Ashwini ji, for giving this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tiwari. Your concise and insightful presentation has not only captivated us, but also provided a thorough understanding of the success factors of the sector skills councils in India. Of course, we will discuss further. We are not saying that there always could be some challenges also, that we'll discuss with you also. Now, you mentioned several achievements of sector skills councils in India. Which one out of these you consider as the two most important ones, and why?
So, as I showed in this presentation, that I consider two very important success factors for sector skill council. One, they could build an entire skill ecosystem. As I showed in the presentation, that they were not restricted only to skill gap study. Sector skill councils performed skill gaps. They identified the requirement of manpower for various sectors. Then they developed qualifications, national occupation standards were developed. Then they also created training providers, they helped create training infrastructure. Trainers and assessors training were done by the sector skill councils. They created content, and then they also aggregated jobs. So, it's a end-to-end digitally enabled skill ecosystem which sector skill council created is one of the key success factor that I would say. Another area where I think that they have done a wonderful job is operating in a multi-party environment. As I showed to you in my presentation, that sector skill councils are governed by a governing body where representatives from Ministry of Skill Development and line ministry of that particular sector. So the two representatives from Government of India, NSDC, the industry associations, many industry associations participate in that, and then the business leaders participate there. Then the sector skill councils also work with state governments and provincial governments in India, central governments in India. They work with industry. So it's a very challenging job, and they also respond to a regulator. And I would give a lot of credit to the management team of sector skill councils who have been able to negotiate this multi-party environment and created a trust for sector skill bodies that they can respond to the needs and aspirations. And that is why in India every citizen can now be proud of that there is a skill program for everyone.
Very well said. I think I'll not repeat again, but of course, this is my always a conviction that uh, if we have to be successfully sustain sector skills councils, we cannot just limit to basic functions of identifying skills and developing occupational standards. These are basic one foundation, but for them to remain to develop as a center of excellence, and by providing more diversified service, value-added services, not only to the education and training providers, but also for other stakeholders, particularly industry and community also. And thanks, you gave us some good examples. Now, your second, the point which you mentioned is involving in the industry association, private sector, and everything. Now, theoretically, this is very, very important, and every country's there is a common recommendation. Every country tries, but this is also remains one of the most significant hurdle worldwide. How to effectively engage industry or private sector in the skills ecosystem, or particularly SSC. So my question to you is that what are the key success factors that contribute to successful engagement of the private sector in the sector skills councils?
So my only response to that is a public-private partnership. I would like to give credit to the Government of India, which from the very beginning thought that we cannot remain in this dichotomy of a government and a private sector. And that is why the Government of India from the ab initio, they thought of a coordinating agency in form of a National Skill Development Corporation, because otherwise it is impossible for government to deal with many sector skill councils simultaneously. Even NSDC was conceived as a public-private partnership. Government of India is the largest shareholder in the company, but chose not to be the majority shareholder. There are Government of India owns 49%, and there are 10 sector associations who own 5.1% each. So this one, and it was also decided that as far as sector skill council are concerned, they will be not for profit private companies, and will involve business leaders as the members in the governing councils. And the decision that was taken that these sector skill councils will have their own dedicated teams with proper management structure. You have to see this entire architecture where government choosing that there is we want to operate in a true partnership mode between government and private, and the participation and the management teams of sector skill councils who operated well in this multi-party environment. Most of the private sector leaders who come on sit on the board of sector skill councils have never dealt with government, and similarly government has not had the direct interaction with business leaders. But this intermediation that NSDC and sector skill councils perform, that I think is a key factor for success of sector skill councils in India.
No, thank you very much. I think we will have opportunity to further discuss this point with Mohit ji once we go in the to him. who is the CEO of the one of the sector skills councils and present here. Now, my last question to you is that yes, there's good success, and but any success also maybe there may be some upcoming issues or challenges may be there. So, what are the primary challenges confronting the sector skills councils ecosystem in India, and what measures are necessary to reimagine these sector skills councils?
So, as I covered in my presentation, that the world is realizing that we cannot have the binary of a general education and a vocational education. The lifelong learning has become a most important narrative, and that is where the outcome, how do we do a outcome measurement of sector skill councils? Citizens and business industry, they become two important key stakeholders. What citizens want, that they should have fulfilling career, and fulfilling career would mean that they should have a good transition from education to work, and when they are in the workforce they should have the right advice, counseling, guidance in form of reskilling, upskilling, which they can deploy to further the career goals that they are seeking for. So, on one hand you have to become some sort of a listening post for citizens, so that they can grow in their life. On the other hand, the industry would expect that the sector skill councils can play this important role in terms of in today's dynamic business environment, how do they become competitive and they produce quality goods and services. We all know that the first digitalization and now AI is changing the entire definition of this sectors and industry itself, and that means that business environment has become very fluxy, and that is where the businesses would look for it, that if whether sector skill councils can help them negotiate having access to a good talent, and also doing reskilling and upskilling of the workforce that they have with this. These are the, I think, a clear mind shifts that we need in the teams of sector skill council, and also these are the new value opportunities that we can that sector skill council and NSCC together can create, both for citizens, government, and also for industry. These are
Thank you
the
very
challenges
much.
that are critical for going forward.
Thank you very much. Please stay with us. Now we'll go to the next panelist. But before going to the next panelist, I will again request all the panelists. There are now we are getting a very good interaction together with the participants. There are a lot of lively discussion taking place in the chat, webinar chat function, and also many participants have already raised the questions in the Q&A tab. I will request our panelists and the team and the support team to kindly keep on going through those questions, and to the extent possible, please feel free to provide the responses to those questions. Now, let me turn to uh, next panelist, Mr. Samuel Amigabor, the chairperson of the construction sector skills body and the CEO of the Ghana Real Estate Developers Association, a very important person from Ghana. You can see Ghana has a very thriving real estate sector, and if we have a CEO of the Real Estate Developers Association here with us, it is our privilege. Just
Yeah.
the constructions SSB was among the first of the three such bodies which were set up in Ghana in 2019 with the support of ILO, and also GIZ also supported. The sector skills bodies, they are called sector skills body for the time being because they are like committees set up under the commission of TVET, and which also provides funding and sectoral services to various sector skills bodies. So, Mr. Samuel, my question to you is that as we are discussing, let's start with the basic. Could you kindly highlight two main reasons for setting up sector skills body for the construction sector
More.
in Ghana?
ठीक था.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. And I wish to say a big thank you to ILO and all the other partners who have made this possible for us to have this interaction. Yes, the sector skills body in Ghana was established for several reasons, but as I've been limited to two reasons, I will zero in on the fact that it is to bridge the gap between industry and academia in relation to skills development, and then also look at the various mismatches in the skills for industry, and particularly ensure that we are in the forefront of developing the industry standards, which leads into the curriculum for the various programs that the country develops for TVET training in particular.
Thank you very much. And there must be some good reasons when you discuss, you must have explored various options for setting the sector skills bodies in Ghana. Naturally, you prefer to set up as committees rather than autonomous councils, which is a case in India. So can you reflect what was the reasons for preferring as a committee?
Okay, we were actually established as bodies, sector skills bodies, and then the various chairpersons of each sector skills body, we now congregate at a platform that is called Sector Skills Committee. And then that Sector Skills Committee is a bridge between industry or the commission and the board, industry and the board of the commission. So that at the various levels of the sector skills bodies, we engage to come up with our issues and what we want government to look at in terms of skills development. And then we congregate at the sector skills committee to take decisions, and then our board, our chairperson of the sector skills committee is represented on the commission's board, so that this person will be able to transmit our issues and our needs directly to the commission of the board. However, I'm not sure it is a preferred option, because currently the sector skills committee chairpersons are not happy that we don't have our autonomous to be able to work effectively. And so we are in a dialogue with the commission to give us the opportunity to be autonomous bodies at the moment, and then we can migrate or graduate to become a council eventually. So we are not very happy to be working as committees, because it limits our ability to explore funding and other opportunities that will better enhance our work to better assist the commission to deliver on its TVET mandate. So we are not very happy to be operating as committees at the moment.
No, thank you. I think it partially perhaps answers the next question, but still let me ask the question. So reflecting on the operations of your sector skills body so far, could you share one significant achievement and a significant challenge so far?
Thank you once again. I think before we were set up, there was a complete gap between what academia or the training providers were producing in terms of the skills persons for our industry. And the difficulty was that most of them came to industry and we could not get the benefit of their training, and we realized that they were not fully developed to satisfy the needs of industry. And so as the SSB was created, it has given us the opportunity to be part of the whole process, from how industry standards are developed, converted them into curriculums, and then through all the approval processes to the point where it is made ready for delivery. The SSB is in the forefront of all these activities, from the conception up to the point of final approval before these things are given out for implementation. And I think this is a very important milestone that we have achieved in Ghana. And there's nothing the commission will do in terms of curriculum development that is not being approved or on the forefront of sector skills bodies in Ghana. And in fact, some of our members are even, in fact, we are leading also into the production of learning materials for most of the curriculums and the programs that are being run by TVET. And so we are in the forefront of these processes. right from the inception or the conception up to the final point where it goes through the approval process. And the Sector Skills Committee is the approval, the final approval point for which all programs
Meeting
are
governing
approved, and
councils
then
of sector skills
our chairperson delivers them to the
governing council of
commission
sector skill
board for a
councils.
final approval as well. And I think this is very significant. And then when it comes to the challenges are very, very enormous. However, the major ones that I can talk about has to do with, first of all, our unhappiness with the fact that we are not autonomous. I think that is one area that we want to look at and address as early as possible. And then the second one that we want to look at is getting industries to buy into the idea of this collaboration or the new phase that the country is undergoing in terms of TV delivery, where industry is expected to lead. And so if you listen to all the best practices that we are aware of, like the one that India is telling us, the ones that some of us are privy to from Germany and other countries, you realize that industry is leading. Even funding is mainly and primary from the support of industry. And so if you are not getting the buy-in of industries to partner you to do this, it creates a lot of problem. But we are in the driving seat. We are on a campaign to communicate effectively on the need for industry to partner us to be able to deliver on our mandate. And so much as it's a challenge, we are already on the ground getting a lot of effort through to ensure that we augment this problem and move on more successfully with our commission to deliver on TVET.
Thank you very much. I think you have been very frank in expressing even the challenges. Sometimes, when we go for an international web seminar or workshop, we try to hide some of the challenges which we are facing and only show it's not only for even the best of the developed countries also. When they have to come and sell their business systems, they never tell what are the challenges they are facing. Otherwise, no one will buy their system. So let's not get into that's what I asked your previous speaker also. While there have been significant strengths and achievements in sector skills councils in India, are there any challenges and how they are encountering? So most important part is that we have to continuously engage with the right stakeholders, not only government, businesses, communities, as Mr. Tiwari also mentioned, and other stakeholders to continuously have analysis of outcome and impact, and which will give always some new insights how we address those challenges rather than hiding them. So now, and as you rightly mentioned, in the industry buying in very important, and while autonomous council is preferred, but then question comes with this financial sustainability. That's why in this today's webinar, we have chosen 3 different partners at 3 different stage of the development of sector skills councils. While you have been there for nearly 4 or 5 years now, the Saudi Arabia started last year, while India has experience of more than 10 years. So different stages, and while India has succeeded in many of the aspects, I think it's very important to learn the factors also. Setting up an autonomous council is easy, but then sustaining operations are one of the challenges. How you can ensure financial sustainability, that's what I think we'll be discussing more with in the subsequent discussion with Mohit also and with Mr. Tiwari also. So now I go to our next panelist, Dr. Khalid Al-Shahrani, the General Manager and Head of Sector Skills Councils in the Ministry of Human Resources and Social Development in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. I think it's an absolute pleasure to have him with us. His expertise in education, research, and skills development makes him an excellent leader and valuable asset in advancing workforce capability and social welfare. Not only Saudi Arabia, but I believe it is going to be impactful for whole of the Middle East, for the whole of the Arab world, but also it will be very exemplary for the whole of the global South. I had some little interactions earlier on some other matters also, including we as ILO is supporting the kingdom in the development of the policy and sector skills councils. I find him very charismatic leader and very friendly person. So welcome to you, Dr. Khalid. And I'll just, before asking you a question, I'll just give a bit background. So as per my understanding, Saudi Arabia launched 12 sector skills councils last year in the form of committees, and the Ministry of Human Resources and Social Development provide funding and secretarial services to them. These have about 70% representatives from the private sector and are headed either by the private sector or the sectoral ministries. Is my understanding, Dr. Khalid, correct?
You're right, Dr. Ashwani, and good afternoon to you, and thank you for the invitation. Thank you for the ILO and partners. It's a great opportunity for me to be part of this panel. And greetings to the panelists, Mr. Tiwari, and everybody who's following this session today.
Thank you.
You're right. You're right.
Okay, thank you. So let's start with some of the important issues. As you have heard also, so far I intentionally placed you after Tiwari and from Samuel, so that you can already hear from India and also hear from Ghana, who has more experience than yours. And they can see they are from Samuel already expressed that they have a committee, but they want to go aspirations to go towards the council side, but they are also facing challenge of the industry buying in. So my question to you is the similar one. I'll start with the basic, So could you highlight the two main reasons why you set up sector skill councils in Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Ashwani, and very pleased to be here again. I think today's session with different, as you mentioned, experiences. India is starting in 2009, Ghana is starting in 2019, and us starting in June last year. That tells you what are the maturity level that across these countries. So talking about Saudi Arabia started in a very ambitious economic vision that probably most of you heard of, Vision 2030 in 2016. And in that vision, there's very ambitious targets that the vision is taking the country to. And so this is one side. The other side is the country is very young. So about 65% of the population is below 30 years of age. And you can imagine with this ambitious targets across different sectors, with this young population, what is the skilling needs that is needed in this context. So it's very important to know the different contexts across countries. When it comes to the Sector Skills Councils, why it is set up. Sector Skills Council in Saudi Arabia came as a part of the labor market strategy. So labor market strategy was developed by World Bank in 2018. It was reviewed and approved by the Cabinet of Ministers in 2020. And during the engagement, there is a clear need to capture the voice of the industry, because there's no one unified formal voice for the industry that is unified in the country. There is so much efforts, scattered efforts, mainly led by the government entities. About 50% of those skilling efforts and interventions are driven by the government entities, with very limited interaction by the private sector. So the need to engage the private sector into the skilling and make it in the driver's seats is enabled, and one reason why this sector skills councils are established. And I think as a second reason for this, and a result of that, there is misalignment between the education and training ecosystem outputs with those industry needs, that is, and because of the lack of it, that alignment is happening. So that's the second reason. There needs to be sectoral bodies that can take the voice from industry and take it to the education and training providers to guide them, not only the education providers, but also the ecosystem at large.
Thank you. It is interesting that the two reasons you mentioned are exactly the same as those of the Ghana also. So that's a basic good. Now, my question to you is also, why your country preferred to set up them as committees rather than autonomous councils?
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, you're right. It's similar challenges, and it's reassuring that the world is going through similar challenges, and hopefully we're also cooperating and collaborating in tackling those challenges. So why is it the Sector Skills Council in Saudi Arabia are started as committees, not as councils? I think, again, it's very context specific. Here in Saudi Arabia, there is the skilling ecosystem. It's not, it's a fast ecosystem. It has multiple players, either like TIFIT entities, higher ed entities, funding entities, assessment, accreditation. There is a quite complex intervention ecosystem in the country that we believe in the ministry having those councils starting under the leadership of Minister of Human Resources and Social Development, having the mandate and having the let's say the positioning across the government will enable those councils to evolve after those efforts are consolidated, their policies changes that is made that already are in place. I think having autonomous councils to put it in the middle of the already existing fast ecosystem wouldn't be the ideal model as a operating model for councils. We believe that having it under the ministry and having a centralized general secretariat that can control the quality, that unify the frameworks and standards as a starting point, at least in the initial stage, would be ideal. And the ministry is best suited for that. We're working very closely already with our partners, line ministries and big players in the ecosystem, where we have been acknowledging the current efforts that's been happening, the workforce development efforts that's been happening. We're trying to come up with foundations for all sectors to follow, just to maintain that, let's say, quality across all sectors. And in coming years, of course, this is evolving. And it is clear from India's experience, it's clear from the UK experience, and from other countries that you start with one, let's say, a model, and then by the time and being agile and understanding and responding to these needs, you'll become something else in a few years. And I think that's very clear in India's experience. So that's planned also in Saudi Arabia as well.
Great. I think that's a very important point you have mentioned, is that as a starting point, because if you start with councils in a country, there are many other factors. I'm not capturing all the factors. I'm just taking from your country's context. Because each country context is a different one. So if the background of a particular country is that you still have not achieved a very significant involvement of industry partners, so if you start with a council, it might be challenging also. While I don't think financing is a challenge for a rich country like you, but definitely there are other challenges also there. So various factors impact. So I think that would have been more pragmatic decision to start with a committee level, gain experiences with basic functions, and then gradually upgrade, skill up to a next level based on that one. Thank you very much. Now, I'll just ask you one significant achievement and a significant challenge, but though I know you have just started last year, but in case you have something, please share.
No, thank you so much. That's as you said, we haven't even finished 1 year of operation for Sector Skills Councils, but I would say one single achievement that actually is setting up 12 councils altogether, launching 3 in June last year and launching 9 in November last year, and setting it up and running over 200 active members, 70% of whom are private sector. I think that's not an easy job to do. There's, as other panelists mentioned, convincing and finding the right people on those entities. It was really, I would say, a tense job to do. I think we're proud that those members are active and very engaging and getting busy building the foundations for these Sector Skills Councils. And I think you said the challenge is the second part of the question. What I would flip the same achievement and make it as a challenge, because keeping that momentum of engagement with above 200 active members and being successful in showing them what's the benefit, getting them engaged, and that engagement And it's voluntary, so there is no monetary incentives for that. So having them engaged on those committees and in these meetings and responding to the inputs that we're asking from them in terms of frameworks, in terms of standards, in terms of skills intelligence, I think that is the challenge that we haven't faced, but we're anticipating, and we're putting into place mechanism to keep showing them the value out of those councils and what does it mean in terms of the sector and in terms of generations, in terms of ecosystem of education and training. So we're seeing this as a challenge, and we're anticipating this, and we're putting mechanism to tackle that.
Thank you very much. I think now, considering the time constraint, let me go quickly to our next panelist, because we are expecting some different responses from him based on the challenges faced mentioned by the previous speakers. But before I go, I request all the panelists, speakers, and the leadership team which are there, because now we have around 88 open questions on this one. As I'm looking at that one, some of the questions are quite elementary. Even if it's not directly, you can answer, some of those. Please pick up those questions so that our participants feel that, their questions were answered. So whatever you think is appropriate, and we have a good team from the NSDC. Many of the questions are common questions. Please do not hesitate to respond to those questions. I can see 89 questions are already there. So please take priority to respond to those questions. Now I'll go to the last panelist, Mr. Mohit Soni. He's the CEO of Media and Entertainment Sector Skills Council from India. And as CEO, he drives collaboration between academia and media companies, ensuring a skilled workforce for India's vibrant media and entertainment sector. And to be very frank, I am quite envy with him. See, before I go to some of the official questions, first let me ask a personal question to him. The chairperson of his council is Shri Ramesh Chippi. And whenever the name of Ramesh Chippi comes, the name of film Sholay comes to my mind. It's from my childhood. And that was the movie. Before even I saw the movie, I remembered all the dialogues of that movie. So Mohit, are you not getting any kind of new assignments? Are you going to be doing some acting soon in some of the movies of Mr. Chippi?
Thank you, Dr. Ashwini, and for this wonderful question. In fact, it's a blessing for us to operate under the leadership of our Honorable Chairman, Shri Ramesh Chippi. He has been really supportive, and trust me, we all know him for Sholay, but there are series of movies which have been blockbusters in India and have done wonderfully well. But he's a shining star, and certainly his movies today also charm us a lot. So thank you for that.
I think this is why I'm highlighting this. It's not just a personal question. It's a highlighting is that sense. It shows the value. TVET is always considered as the last choice for the young persons, okay, or for the who are not well educated, who are from the poor background or from disadvantaged background, because TVET always used to be only on the manufacturing trades, plumbing, carpentry or something. Now here brings in a different angle to this one, TVET system, skills development. And I can see, for example, you have also your past chairman is Mr. Subhash Ghai. And in my older times, younger age, movie hero and many other, he has a super hit movies developed. So, and the world over now, the Bollywood is famous. As Hollywood is famous, Bollywood is also famous. Wherever I'm telling you, wherever I go in various countries, the first thing people ask, are you, let me not the name of his actor. They say, do you know this actor? Do you know this actor? So Bollywood has created a big image for, and is followed very intensely, not on the movies, but I worked in Africa for a long, all the TV shows of India have been translated into local languages and people watch them very intensively. So now when we have the top personality and then you can driving the, these are like aspirational program occupations or professions for the young persons also. So I think this shows also how a skills development could be inspirational. While I'm not touching on another point also, where the NSDC has done a great job and ministry has done a great job, is that entering into the higher education sector, university sector, where I think if I listen carefully, I heard that the 50% of the credits in a university can be given to a skill-based programs also, which is a big revolution, because otherwise we always think how can we make the university education more students, graduates more employable. I think this has become a very, very big, path-breaking reform. But now coming back to your one, and I'm mindful of the time also. Ultimately, with all the panelists, I like to just check up, because in discussion so interesting, and some of the concluding questions are going to be very, very crucial. Are you ready to stay for another 10 minutes? Because I know that we are having some subsequent engagement. So those who can stay back for another 10 minutes. But before that, let me come to the crucial question to you, Mr. Moiswani. You heard from the other two panelists also. So I'll go to straight away the question. Beyond important traditional functions such as skills need anticipation and developing qualification, what innovative or value-added services does your sector skills council provide that it differentiate from others, and which also help assess sustainability? And also the question also you can link with this one is that everyone is saying how to make private sector or industry motivated, why they should participate you, even if you form this one. Over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Ashwini, first of all, for giving me this honor of being on this eminent dignitaries panel and the learned participants. See, when we talk about a sector skill council, and I would say particularly about the media and entertainment skills council here, one big achievement which we have been able to embark is to have the industry buyout. That is one big achievement which I feel the sector skill council has been able to bring together. We work as one-stop solution for both industry as well as academia. While we understand that industry plays a very key stakeholding role in the skilling ecosystem, the industry sometimes gets so segregated that it can be divided both in formal and informal sectors. While the industry wants the formal skilled workforce to be trained in massive numbers, the demand of unorganized sector, or I would say the demand for people who may not end up into a full-time employability, but may work into a gig economy or work as freelancers. That challenge of creating a machinery which can develop training programs for them, give them the right measure of technological advancements, and make them have a sustainable livelihood is one big area. And I feel today, under the purview of Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship and the guiding force of National Skill Development Corporation, we have been able to achieve both sides of skilling the workforces, both the formal workspace as well as the informal workspace. And this has made the skilling initiative in India an aspirational value to perceive. And that is the reason where one side we are meeting the requirements which come from the industry. The second side, we are able to generate opportunities for livelihood for those candidates who may not end up in a full-time wage-based employability and may have a small-time entrepreneurship development model, or may look at a self-financing kind of an training to be funded across. So that's one. The second thing is the establishment of centers of excellence, where we are able to adapt to the new technological advancements which are coming in our sector. These centers of excellence works as one point for bringing up and nurturing the next level of trainers which are required to conduct those training programs in the ecosystem, develop as startup hubs and incubators for the new aspirants who are looking forward to be in this sector. So I think these two big areas have been substantially very promising and have really looked at the way the sector skill councils were perceived.
Thank you. I think because we proceed further, because Shobna ji was to give the closing remark. Let me first check up with her availability. Shobna ji, can you have time for another 10 minutes to stay back, or?
Yes, absolutely. Please go ahead. Very
thank
interesting
you.
discussion.
Oh, thank you. It's so nice of you for being accommodative. So now coming back to Mohit, we have all discussed that, initially the government of India provided seed funding to each of the sector skills councils, but now that's each of the sector skills councils, of course, they are generating their revenue whether from the government programs or the outside the government programs, but then they have significantly moved away from the government programs, some of them, particularly you also. So can you discuss your financial sustainability model, how you are generating funding for your operations? Give some concrete examples, please. Thank you.
Sure. So while sector skill councils have certainly been working as a skilling arm to central and state governments, one big achievement which the sector skill council has been primarily able to work on is to develop industry-oriented training programs. Today, in our sector, let us say the industry wants a very specific job role for which the training may not be conducted in the training ecosystem. For that, we have defined training centers and identified them, which are directly offering those training programs, which are the demand for the industry, not just for today, but even for the future. Today, we need somebody on AR/VR technology. The training ecosystem may have not groomed up to that level to provide it, but when we do it with an industry partner, the demand for that industry is spontaneously met. And this brings one big revenue model for us to operate industry-led training modules. The second is the creation of our online training modules, where we have been able to aggregate some of the top celebrities, master experts to conduct online training modules for the aspirants. And this has reached across to a wider spectrum. So this has been another revenue model which we have been able to really work upon. And the third is
before further, can you for the participants' purpose, can you give examples so that people understand what does it, what type of personalities are involved, so that.
So we have our learning management platform which is integrated with Skill India Digital, and this platform has training modules of singing, let's say by Asha Bhosle ji, photography by Dabu Ratnani, filmmaking by Madhur Bhandarkar, and all of the celebrities and the master experts which you can talk about. So these are the most advanced level training modules which are offered by the master experts and the
just for the international audience, let me tell these names of the personalities he has mentioned. These are the top personalities in the Bollywood sphere. Bollywood means the Indian film industry. So they are either the top level singers or top level some other professions there. So they have started their own personalized, if I understand correctly, Mohitji, personalized training programs spearheaded by them. So their own brand name is there. So if you are learning from a legend. So they are brought into the picture the legends in the skills development system, which was never used to be there. Thank you very much. Please go ahead.
And the third thing has been certainly the international tie-ups and the associations we are able to build in. So today we offer a platform for international partners to come and start their training programs in India, and offer Indian training providers also to operate across different borders, which helps in candidate migration and also development of trainers. So there is a lot of trainer exchange program which we do, a lot of candidate mobilization programs which we do, and this works as a good sustainable model for us when it comes to funding opportunities. So these are three.
Can you give any example of like international when you say that are here?
So, for example, today at this point of time, while we are speaking, we are doing a workshop in Nepal with 7 universities of Nepal to offer them consulting modules on development of their curriculum, development of their training modules, and also training of their trainers. So similar examples, we have been working in Gulf countries as well. So this works as a very innovative model for us, where we are not just supporting the other countries, but also learning a lot from the other countries which are there in the universe. So these kind of exercises are something which we are popularly doing.
Thank you very much. I think let me just, because we are running short of the time, so let me just come back to Mr. Vedmani Tiwari. In what ways can NSDC, considering the significant knowledge gained by the NSDC, so what ways can NSDC support other countries in establishing or improving the functioning of sector skills councils, and what do you think could be the role of the ILO or other development partners in it?
So it was very interesting discussion that we were having, and I clearly see that there is an opportunity for clear international cooperation among all the member countries of ILO. So ILO will play a very important role. What I can assure you is that we have a set of very competent sector skill leaders. There are 36 sector skill councils and CEOs of those sector skill council, plus the domain experts in those sector skill councils. They come from really top of the industry. So we can work through ILO, we can build a kind of a knowledge exchange platform where we can operate at a knowledge exchange level. If deeper engagement is required, NSDC would be happy to connect with the relevant governments in those countries, and we will be happy to provide very country specific intervention. It is also important that we build ILO has done a wonderful job by building toolkits for sector skill councils, lifelong learning, micro credits, etc. I think what we can do is that together ILO, NSDC, World Bank and UNESCO, we all can come together and can start contributing to the effort that our ILO is already making, and making the as India has done well on digital public infrastructure, we can NSDC has a very competent team of IT leaders and performers. We can help set up DPI for skilling for the globe, which can help every country customize it, because it will be based on the principles of open source and things like it. So we can help the countries customize it, and so a lot of content sharing also, because we know that countries like Philippines, etc., also have developed some very good vocational content. We can truly build a collaborative platform where country to country exchange can happen in terms of the content sharing. We also have developed capabilities for language translations. So even if the content is available in some other country language, we can do work on that language translation. And industry.
I'll just say, yeah. Just on that one, because we are, as you know, we are just limiting time only, so I don't want to extend further too much. But thank you very much. These are the very important point, and just to for the all the participants. For example, Veji has specifically mentioned about digital, integrated digital platform, digital India, digital skills India platform. Our next master class is again going to be together with them in the next month, and we're focusing on the digitalization completely. While on the Sector Skills Council, we are developing a new guide. ILO is developing a new guide. We are, contacting, and that's what we are going to come in a new approach. What we are discussing today, I think, is aligned with our thinking already. That how step-by-step approach could be there, so that next time when the new country is setting up, they do not get into the same pitfalls which some other countries have got. So they establish in a very successful manner. And also on micro credential, now we are going to start a joint work together with World Bank and UNESCO, and that is hopefully will be starting very soon, and we are working. But it will be involving all the if you are any of your countries have good experiences, please do write to me. My email address is also available to all of you. So we will always take experience, take note of your experiences in incorporating into our guides. Now I'll come to very interesting part of the now final point. I think on the next we have only 4 minutes left before I hand over back to Shobna ji. So this question is now to Ghana and Saudi Arabia, Ms. Samuel and Dr. Khalid. So what are your takeaways from the Indian approach to Sector Skills Council, specifically considering your context? Please be brief as possible. Thank you. First, maybe Samuel.
Okay, thank you very much once again. I think the bit that I was very happy to hear about their strategy in terms of sustainability, how they are able to fund themselves with the support of government, giving them some seed money to the point where now they are capable of raising funding on their own. I think that is very great. However, for those of us who have just come on board and those that are about to establish, my advice is that the state should assist the country or their commissions to establish business chambers, so that any company that is registered within their jurisdiction will have to necessarily register with the chamber, so that the identification of the various companies or businesses can be captured already, so that they don't have to struggle to look for people. Because in our jurisdiction where we come from, waiting for people to voluntarily come on board to support some of these courses are very difficult to come by. So you need a legislation.
Thank you. I think thank you very much for answering both the questions, which are very important points you have mentioned in a very succinct manner. I now go to Dr. Khalid. Dr. Khalid, same 2 questions to you. What are the takeaways from Indian system, and what would be your advice to the other countries? Over to you,
thank
Dr.
you,
Khalid.
Thank you. I think we were lucky to have good partnerships within SDC with Mr. Tawari and the team. Some of the chairs like Mohit and the other respected chairs, they spoke in our council as well. I think one takeaway is their use of the SKILLS India platform and the use of technology and harnessing technology on reaching out and executing these skilling interventions. We already in Saudi Arabia have NSP National Skills Platform that is going to be launched very soon. I think we can learn a lot from India's experience. And my advice to either ourselves or any country that is embarking on this journey is do not reinvent the wheel. Just learn from the other experiences and start where they stop, as well as ILO and the ILO support that is currently available. And I'm glad to hear that, Dr. Ashwani, that you're also developing more tools, more practical tools, either for councils or for the end beneficiaries. So that's my advice. Thank you.
Thank you. Very important points you have mentioned. Thank you, Dr. Khalid, again. Now, I think we have only 1 minute, so I'm requesting Mohitji and Vedji, if they have any last closing points which you'd like to say.
So I would
maybe Mohitji first. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Vedji, please go ahead.
I would just say thank you so much to all the participants. It has been a very enlightening discussion. And thank you so much, Ashwini ji. You have put in a really hard work. We know how much hard work you have put in. We have learned a lot from you how to run a cross-country international webinar. Hopefully, we will do more such events where each one of us can learn from each other. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mohitji, any last words from your side?
So I would say, Dr. Ashwini, when I look at it from outsider and insider perspective, I would say the formation of a dedicated ministry for skill development and entrepreneurship and a central body, National Skill Development Corporation, has really significantly built up the skilling ecosystem in the country today. And the initial SSCs were incubated across the industry chambers. For example, we were incubated at FICCI. So I think this has given a great potential for the skilling ecosystem, not just from a government perspective support, but also from the industry perspective support to buy out and create something which can benefit the entire ecosystem. I think that could be one big area of, looking out for other countries as well.
I think very important point which resonates with what Samuel also mentioned, that his country also needs such kind of vision samples like FICCI you mentioned, so that incubate, and take ownership of that one. And the challenge is many of the developing global south countries that because of large informal economy, the challenge is that in few sectors, in the prominent industries, but not in all sectors. So today's workshop discussion is not first about only discussing all the challenges and problems, but we'll keep on discussing these issues later on. With this one, I'd like to thank all the panelists for this enlightening panel discussion. It has been truly a privilege to have you all join us. Now we are approaching the end of the session, so it is my honor to now call upon Ms. Shobhana Soshel, who is the Senior Education Specialist of the World Bank in the South Asia region, but based in Washington. She has led the World Bank's education engagement in more than 14 countries. The floor is yours, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Dr. Agrawal. This has been an extremely informative and very enlightening session, and thanks to the panelists. My job is a very simple one compared to what the others have been saying. So for me to make the closing remarks, I would not try to recap what they're saying, but only to make a few key assertions in terms of what it is that might be takeaways for this session. First of all, human capital development is an accumulative process, and we've just witnessed how much effort it takes to do that. The second thing is growth is an aggregative process. That is, it takes time. It's over time that you see how much productivity can be improved and how things can be moved. Now, the transformation of skilling from the industrial age to the digital age, while continuing to apply the precepts of skilling, adapting technology and embracing new learning approaches such as AR and VR to make available anytime, anywhere learning, and also to have lifelong learning has been a very big push in India. And I think India, because of its sheer size and what it has done, is beginning to serve as a model. And some of the takeaways that have come out of this process, and listening to what has happened in Ghana and in Saudi Arabia and other countries globally, is that the digital age is going to require mindset shifts and a new basis for action. And so we're seeing that the way India has actually translated this has been to go local or national to global, such as becoming the skilled capital of the world, which is their vision, as well as to become the entrepreneurial capital of the world. So that is going national to global, and global to national, bringing global views and ideas to bear on improving the national system. All of this while harnessing the Industrial Revolution 4.0 because of its sheer size of the digital infrastructure and the investments that have been made. So a vision is the first leading position that India has taken. Secondly, the mission, that is, what will it do in terms of changing the process? That is to skill, reskill, and upskill, because lifelong learning is absolutely required in a digital age where you need not just the youth to be skilled, but also people who are in the workforce to be reskilled, and those in aspiring positions to actually want to upskill to do new jobs. And then to improve outreach. And how do you do this? Through decentralization, improved governance, through setting up NSDC as the coordinating agency and coordinating other sectors, skills councils. Now, the SSCs, that's the sector skill councils, have become a pivotal linchpin in terms of actually moving the employment basis, the productivity basis, the skilling basis, bring more of a rapprochement, if I can say that, between demand and supply of skilling. And there have been significant gaps in this. So there needs to be intent. That is, setting up of the MSDC, the PPP, the partnerships, addressing the needs of the informal economy, and making localized and accessible skilling available, especially in the informal sector, has been the intent of the government. And in terms of implementation, looking at how important it is for the industrial training institutes as having played it's a bedrock, is what the Secretary Tiwari said. And it is absolutely true. It's my privilege to actually be leading the India's Skill Strengthening for Industrial Value Enhancement STRIVE program in India, which is to close soon. And we will be assessing its impact to see whether it has actually achieved what it set itself out to achieve, at least partially. And so we have here in India, I think, a model that many other countries are looking at very keenly and want to learn. And in terms of the sector skills councils, Mr. Tiwari from NSDC mentioned that there were 36 sector skills councils. This is not an accident that it has developed into so many and so rapidly. 10 years is a short time when you actually look at how long the ITIs have been in play. And for such as sector skills councils to actually come up to lead the way, to change the direction, to adapt and to grow, to make sure that youth are also in this fray, receiving at the receiving end, as are the workforce, as are even retired people, especially with digital skills, is testimony, I think, to the efforts that are needed for addressing this huge and neglected sector, which was the TVET sector. And now, of course, TVET is no longer the terminology that's being used, it's skills development. And skilling is the name of the game, and it will be for lifelong learning. Two last points is on financing. It is very nice to see that demand-side financing is being considered through vouchers. In the World Bank, we've been talking about this for some years in the schooling domain, but now that it's come to the skilling domain, this will be very useful to see some of the good examples that are coming out or some of the testy examples coming out about how vouchers are going to be used or whether they play a big role at all. And then the skill impact bond, which is very interesting to see. It's like a social bond, right? It would be good to see how this thing is actually beginning to develop and what might we learn from this. Finally, from the governance front, the role of MSDE, NSDC, SSCs, how it's coming together, how they're transforming the mission and to attain the vision to actually make it an actionable process is a very interesting one. And so here we are marching towards a green economy, moving away from brown jobs, looking at the orange economy as Mr. Rohit Soni was saying about how even the arts play a huge role in terms of imparting skills and how partnerships and cooperation come into play. All these brought together through knowledge exchange platforms, country to country exchange, is going to be something that we'll have to see as a new way forward. And we very much look forward to collaborating with ILO, with UNESCO, with NSDC, and all the partners to be in this very exciting journey with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Shobhaji. I think you made it so this kind, like when you say your task is not simple, is simple. I don't think so. Closing remarks in 5 minutes are always the most challenging one for making such a vast discussion, but you made it so simple. Definitely. You noted all the key crux points and delivered them in a very, very simplistic manner. Thank you very much. It shows your excellent expertise and grasp from this topic. And I'll take, I don't know, go further the details, and I'd like to say thank you to everyone, all the participants first, because for you, we are here. If you are not there, we are not, it's not possible. It's for all our speakers, panelists, for participating, and all the colleagues who are in the background, who has done hard work, labored hard in doing excellent preparations, and who are still managing this whole show. To them, and specifically to our partners, the World Bank, UNESCO, and National Skills Development Corporation. And now I think we are going to have more and more partners in the future. I'm already getting some requests from other countries also. They like to co-organize this kind of an event with us. So I trust this event was valuable and informative to all of you. Please remember that as soon as possible, we'll send an email to you. I will send personally thanking to you and include all the presentations and materials which we'll upload on the event website. We'll share the link with you. So don't worry, by next 2 days, you'll receive everything. And please continue to follow our masterclass series. We have, even I'll share the web link, which we have the recordings of previous sessions. So you'll see very exciting those ones also. So we'll meet again. Stay healthy, happy, and peaceful till that time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Before we close, I think we can switch on all our videos. If, for example, and I request some of the NSDC colleagues to take some photographs before
very much.
Okay, cheers up, maybe heads up or something. Let's put our hands up, thumbs up. Okay, thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Wonderful, great job. I never realized कि ये online के लिए इतना